Afternoon and evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you very much for joining us today at this webinar on energy rating labels and the potential for energy savings. This session is co-hosted by the Council of Engineers for the Energy Transition, also known as the CEET, and United for Efficiency, an initiative hosted by the United Nations Environment Program. My name is Liz Nelson, and I'm a program manager at the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and I work with the CEET. Some really quick background on the CEET for those of you that may not be familiar. Under the auspices of the United Nations Secretary General, the CEET is a global high-level body of engineers and energy systems experts contributing to the UN Secretary General's goal of building a coalition to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. The CEET is co-chaired by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, and the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, SDSN. We're joined by a fantastic group of speakers today, which I'll introduce very shortly. But before we hear from our first presenter, I want to share the session agenda and a couple of reminders for everyone. So for our agenda, we'll first hear from a few of our experts through 2 introductory presentations before we begin our full panel discussion with everyone. A quick note that the session will be recorded and the recording will be available to watch after the session on the SDSN YouTube channel. Additionally, please use the chat box or Q&A function to share comments and questions for the presenters and panelists. One of our team members will be monitoring your questions, and we'll have some time at the end of the session to discuss a few of them. Okay, with all of that being said, I'm happy to invite Nita Farid to join us and begin her presentation, highlighting the recent CEET issue brief on this topic, which is titled Energy Rating Labels and the Potential for Energy Savings Across the Global South. Nita, you're muted.
Yes. Thank you, Liz. Hello, everyone. My name is Nida Farid. I'm an aerospace engineer. I'm also an energy efficiency consultant. And I have a debut novel coming out this week called Extraordinary Life of Risk. I'm part of the UN Council of Engineers for the Energy Transition, and I'm also the co-chair of the Energy Efficiency Working Group. So the paper that we worked on the whole of last year was actually to understand the potentials of using minimum energy performance standards and energy rating labels and how they can bring energy savings across the global south. With me, the people who worked on the paper included my colleagues from the Council of Engineers for the Energy Transition. Please, the first page. Yeah, that's Atik, Anna, and Andrea, as well as Atik's student Aisha. Along with us, there was also Sai Kiran and Patrick from the United Nations Energy Environment Program, who are also part of this panel. Next page. So before we talk about energy labels, I want to sort of put forward the sort of definition of energy efficiency. I know that the number of people in the audience may not understand what energy efficiency really is in its full scope, so I wanted to bring that up first. If you really think about the kinds of things you really need in your life for to ensure your comfort and your quality of life, it's not energy. None of us really needs electricity or petrol or gas. What we're really looking for are services. We want cooling and we want heating, mobility, productivity, entertainment, communication, etc., to ensure a certain quality of life. So energy is just the fuel that runs the machinery that give us those services, right? So energy efficiency ensures that with innovation and research and development, every year the machinery give us more and more service using less and less energy. Okay, so that's what energy efficiency is, the ability to get more lighting and more cooling and more heating, etc., while using less fuel. So how do energy efficiency standards and labels enter to energy efficiency? How do they ensure energy efficiency? Well, minimum energy performance standards and energy labels, they work together sort of in a push and pull scheme in determining what is available in the market and what a consumer is really buying. So if in the bottom left-hand corner, if you look at the curve right there, the black curve shows the market of appliances and their energy performance in a standard distribution, right? Now, if we bring in minimum energy performance standards, what we are saying is that no appliance below a certain energy efficiency is allowed to be in the market. So we see the black area shaded out now, and we are left with the right curve, the red curve showing the distribution of appliances in the market. So this is how minimum energy performance standards restrict what is available in the market unless it meets a certain energy performance, right? Now, energy labels, on the other hand, pull the market in a certain way because what is happening is the energy labels are showing a consumer how much electricity or gas or petrol their appliance is using to give them that certain service, right? It's telling them their annual electricity bills, for instance. So in that case, a consumer is more likely to buy more high efficiency appliances to cut down on their energy bills every year, right? So an energy labeling scheme basically pulls the market towards high efficiency appliances, which is how we get the blue dashed curve in the uh, in the diagram right there. Next slide. So energy labels come across we have various different schemes all across the world based on which country or region you're looking at. We have the sliding bar, like the energy guide in the US on the left, if you see. What you see is the lowest efficiency appliance on the right-hand side, showing you what your electricity bill or energy bill will be if you were to buy that particular model. Uh, and then on the left-hand side is the lowest energy consuming appliance, which shows you what your bill will be if you were to buy that appliance. And then it's actually showing you that the appliance that you're looking at right now, where does it fall within that sliding scale? Then we have countries that use like a dial scheme or a star scheme that we see for Korea and for India and the next labels right there, right? So the main point is all of them use different schemes like ticks or A to G grading or the 1 to 5 star system or the green to red color coded system to sort of show us where does the current model of appliance that you're looking at right now in whatever market that you're buying this appliance in, where does this fall in the energy efficiency range of appliances in the market for that type, for ACs, for cars, or whatever model you're looking at right now. So every country is different in the way they use these schemes. Some countries even go to the extent of having a different label for every region in their country based on climate, right? On the bottom right-hand side, you also see a scheme, sort of the label for cars that the US uses. Next slide. Yeah. So how have these schemes really helped? So if you see the chart, figure one, that it's labeled right there, the US and EU adopted such minimum energy performance standards and energy labels about 20 to 30 years ago now. So what we've seen is that in 2018, they achieved over 15% savings compared to if they had never implemented the scheme, right? China and India, Brazil, etc., have also introduced these schemes. They have less savings right now, 5 to 6% per year in energy saving because they've just launched these schemes. So it's been five or 10 years. Over time, we're going to see their schemes, like the savings cumulatively growing every year, right? At the same time, if you look at the diagram for the fuel efficiency of cars at the bottom of the screen, what you see is that the average car's efficiency it would use 9.5 liters of fuel for 100 kilometers of driving, right? That over 20 years has fallen down to just 6.9 liters of fuel for 100 kilometers, right? So these are all savings that are there because of energy labels and minimum energy performance standards. Now, if you take it to a really, really micro level, we talked about national savings or global savings, but what about for every appliance, right? So if you look at the top runner program that Japan has, which is where they really take the top 5% efficient appliances in the market and then use that as the target for the next 5 years that the manufacturer needs to surpass, right? So Japan has achieved 85% reduction in the use of computer energy use in just 6 years, right? For televisions, the energy use of televisions went down by 60% in just 5 years, right? So this is what having such schemes enables the market to do. What the International Energy Agency has shown us that in just by just introducing these schemes, you can drive innovation up by 2 or 3 times. So we have to challenge our manufacturers with what is possible out there. Next slide. Yeah, so the International Energy Agency says there are 120 countries with such schemes right now. What that means is there are about 73 member states, UN member states that don't have such schemes right now. We've identified about 24 countries that have no schemes at all right now. And there are another 33 countries that have a low or almost no implementation of such schemes. Next. If you go into our paper, you'll be able to see these in more details, but the ones I would really like to call out here with really high populations are Pakistan, Indonesia, Ethiopia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. These all have populations over 100 million, some even over 200 million people. So these countries are really ripe for implementation of these schemes. Next slide. And in addition, what you see is that these schemes, even if you already have it inside your countries, they can be expanded, I guess, across sectors, right? So if you look at the diagram that the International Energy Agency has shown here, while within space cooling and refrigeration, the MEPS are implemented across 80% of the world. For the transport sectors, or for motors or water heating or cooking, they're barely implemented across the world. So even if you have such schemes, there are many, many other sectors that you can be introducing them in including the industrial and domestic transport sectors. Next slide. So what we've seen is, Sai and Patrick will be talking more about this work later on, but the United for Efficiency program collected data estimates for energy efficiency across 150 developing and emerging economies. So we used their estimates for energy savings, and we took them, extrapolated them for 2050. And what we saw that by introducing minimum energy performance standards, we could see about 5% savings by 2050. Right? If we were to now increase that to including energy labels, we would be seeing an 11% reduction in electricity use across the global south by 2050. Now, since they have next slide. Now, since they have looked at these savings based on business as usual, this already includes the savings that India, China, etc., already getting from the energy efficiency programs. So if you include that too, what we're really looking at is about a 15 to 20% savings by 2050 by using energy efficiency labeling schemes. And if you take it all the way up to a best available technology scenario, we could be looking at up to 40% savings by implementing these schemes. Next slide. Sorry, I'm really rushing through this. Similarly, on the transport sector, we have a potential of 25% savings. Next sector. Sorry, next slide. Really, this is the main point of it. Now, how does energy efficiency and introducing energy standards and labels really help energy access? Well, if you were to look at a 2-room house in a village that you're providing access to, if you were to implement the energy access using standard equipment, so standard compact fluorescent bulbs and standard ceiling fans, you would need 250 watts of electricity for that house. However, if you use LED bulbs, most efficient LED bulbs, and you look at the 30-watt BLDC ceiling fans, you would need just 75 watts, right? So this is the potential of energy efficiency. What energy efficiency does is it reduces the energy needs of current and future energy users, and that makes it easier to expand energy access to the rest of your population without needing new power plants or grid upgrades and expansion or the financial investment needed to fund them. Thank you. I think it's time for Sai now, and I've probably gone over my time. Thank you, Liz.
Great. Thank you, Nita, for that overview and presentation of this topic. Yes, as you mentioned, we'll now turn to our second presentation. And I'd like to introduce Patrick Blake and Saikiran Kasimseti to share their presentation, which will highlight U4E and their work in advancing energy efficiency and appliances for an.
Thank you very much, Liz, for that introduction. And thank you very much to the SDSN and CEET for this collaboration on the paper and also through this webinar. It's been very helpful to really communicate on our work on energy efficiency. As Liz mentioned, I'm from UNEP, United for Efficiency. I'm a program manager for that initiative. I'm joined by my colleague, Sai, who will present as well. Next slide, please. So just very briefly on the initiative, it's a global initiative, United for Efficiency, bringing together different stakeholder groups from manufacturers to technical centers and NGOs and regional centers with funding from different funding sources, including the JEF, GCF, Clean Cooling Collaborative, and different bilateral funders as well. We really work together with other UN agencies, development banks, to support their efforts as well with different tools and resources. So we heard from Nita already, but on some of the opportunity in terms of labels and standards, and through my presentations and Sai's, we'll show you some of the tools that we have available. Next slide, please. On the overall approach that we follow, since about 2010, we've worked on something called the integrated policy approach for transforming markets to energy efficient products. We started on lighting and soon thereafter on products like air conditioners, refrigerators, motors, and transformers, and more recently on data centers and other products such as commercial refrigeration. The approach brings together labeling that we'll focus a lot on today, but really want to emphasize the importance of other things in the integrated policy approach, including minimum energy performance standards, so putting in place a floor for the products into the markets, financing and affordability. What we mean there is development of financial mechanisms to support incentivize the purchase of energy efficient products. And that can really link well to labels as well, because to identify a product, you need to, a label can help to do that for a financial incentive as well. Monitoring, verification, and enforcement, so testing of products to ensure that they conform with the regulation, and also checking of the products in stores. And of course, labels can provide a first visual identity for whether a product is compliant or not, but testing is also very important. And then end of life, environmentally sound management. So some products have refrigerants in them or mercury in CFL lighting. So important that those are dealt with properly at end of life. Next slide, please. This all goes together with other global trends and commitments that countries have. And some of those are listed here. At COP28, we saw a few pledges and commitments, including the Global Renewable and Energy Efficiency Pledge, which highlights efficiency in appliances. Same with the Global Cooling Pledge, focusing on cooling, but really highlights the importance of MEPS, minimum energy performance standards, and labeling through that. Then further, on the Montreal Protocol, again, focusing on cooling products. Montreal Protocol is for ozone depleting substances, but also along with that, really references the importance of energy efficiency. And this is on the cooling products, so a large opportunity there. And then more broadly, in countries making net zero targets, and with NDCs, opportunity to really integrate development of labels and MEPS into those commitments. Next slide, please. Here are some of the tools and resources that we do have available under United for Efficiency, and we'll go into more details on these. But really, the aim of these is to support implementation. So model regulations are templates that countries can use in development of MEPS, and also for labels. It has the criteria for individual product categories such as air conditioners or lighting. through those. So really is a helpful starting point if you're looking to move forward with some of the recommendations that Nita mentioned earlier. There's more examples, but due to time, we can go into those in discussion. Next slide, please. With this, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Sai, who will take us through the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick, and good day, everyone. So this slide presents an overview of implementation of MEPS of various product categories, which include the residential refrigerators, room air conditioners, commercial refrigerators, lighting, distribution transformers, and industrial motors. So all these products together contribute to almost 50% of today's world electric consumption. So one can clearly infer from this slide that the MEPS are well established for three product categories, like the residential refrigerators, room air conditioners, as well as the lighting products. But in majority, strong commitment to reducing energy consumption, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, and also promoting sustainable development. However, we see the other product categories like commercial refrigerators, distribution transformers, and industrial motors, which still require some regulatory remediation for increasing the adoption of MEPS. So it's important to not just implement MEPS, but also to continuously raise the ambition levels. This is to ensure there is greater drive for energy savings and also accelerate progress towards several national and international climate and sustainability goals. Next slide. Yeah, this slide is a snippet of the country savings assessment tool, which Patrick and Nita briefly alluded to earlier. And this provides the global annual savings potential by just mere introduction of minimum energy performance standards under two scenarios, like the minimum and high ambition, which is as per the U4E model regulation guidelines, which sets the energy efficiency levels based on global best practices for different product categories. So these annual savings are for year 2040, and introducing MEPS and labels not only reduce the energy demand. As you can see, by introduction, the energy demand can be reduced from 142% to 122%, but these also offer significant energy, environment, and financial benefits. For instance, just introduction of minimum energy performance standards globally can result in up to 9-10 terawatt hours of savings annually in 2040. This 9-10 terawatt hours can be actually equated to the entire consumption of the African continent today, so which is a significant amount. And while these offer significant energy savings, we can also abate carbon emissions, and also countries can realize their NDC targets and other emission targets. And also employing HEPS, that is the bottom, that is having higher energy performance standards, can result even more savings, almost more than double savings as compared to MEPS. And also, these are just annual savings, but the cumulative savings can be in the range of 9 times more than the annual savings over like starting the implementation in 2022 and going up to 2040. Moving on to the next slide. So at U4E, our work spans globally. We have active engagement at both regional and national levels. Regionally, we do collaborate closely with partners in the Caribbean, Central America, the ASEAN, the Southeast Asian nation, the SADC, the Southern African Development Community, where we engage with SACRI and IACRI, that is Southern African and Eastern African Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. At national level, we have supported and we are continuing to support several countries in introducing or in either introducing or revising MEPS and energy labels across a range of 6 product categories, as mentioned earlier. So these include lighting, refrigerators, air conditioning, electric motors, and distribution transformers. Next slide. So driving by an example, we in the Asian region, we supported the development of technical recommendations for harmonizing room air conditioner minimum energy performance standards, aligning them with the CSPF, which is the energy efficiency metric to measure the efficiency of a room air conditioner of 6.09. So this regional approach not only enabled the achievement of unified MEPS across the region, but also it has led to enhancement of label tiers in Malaysia and Singapore. So in Malaysia, we did conduct a comprehensive market assessment and techno-economic study that informed the refinement of MEPS levels and labeling tiers. So these are all set to be implemented in phased approach with full alignment to the regional target by 2030. Similarly, Singapore has already adopted these revised MEPS actually starting this month. So through the slide, I just want to convey that this serves as a very strong example of how regional harmonization efforts can accelerate national adoption, an approach that has been successfully implemented not just in ASEAN, but also in the SADC, the Southern African and Eastern African regions. With this, yeah, I hand it over back to Liz, and thank you all.
Great. Thank you, Patrick and Sai, for that great presentation and telling us a little bit more about the work that U4E is doing. We're now going to move into the panel portion of our session. So I'd like to invite our three presenters so far to rejoin us. And then I'd also like to introduce two additional panelists, Ridley Makaliki and Dan Sullivan. So we're gonna get these two pinned. Ridley and Dan, could you please share a short introduction with us before we begin our discussion?
Sure, I guess I'll start. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Sullivan. I wish you a good day, whatever part of the day it might be for you today. My name is Dan Sullivan, obviously. I work for the IECEE and the IECRE. Those are two conformity assessment systems underneath the IEC, the standardization body. We operate two conformity assessment systems. The EE is for electrical energy, which many energy efficiency standards fall under. And then the IECRE is the conformity assessment system for renewable energies with four systems: wind energy, PV, and also marine and hydro energy. So thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. Ridley, over to you.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you for CEET for inviting me to participate in this panel discussion. My name is Ridley Makaliki, the lead technical expert on the energy efficiency for sustainable livelihoods in Africa. This is a follow-up program from the Energy Efficient Lighting and Appliances project that SACRI, together with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, with financial support from the Swedish government, implemented the Energy Efficient Lighting and Appliances project. I think the background picture you can see behind me, between 2019 and 2024. So this new program has two components. It has a regional component, which now has extended to the ECOWAS region, including the two regional economic blocks that were there originally, EAC and SADC. So potentially we will be having 36 member states on this program, on the regional project. The other aspect on this program is what we are calling country window projects. These are dedicated national energy efficiency projects that are also being supported by the Swedish government through SIDA. And for now, we have Kenya, Zambia, and Zimbabwe on board. On the national projects, the focus will be in implementing industrial energy efficiency. There will be a host of the clean tech platform that has been chosen to host this, which will be dispensing both technical assistance and financial support to the industry to improve the efficiencies in their operations. And ideally, it will be doing energy audits and looking for opportunities for energy savings and providing financial support to implement the identified energy saving opportunities in the industries. So for now, I'll end there. I'm at SADC Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. We are based in Windhoek, Namibia, and we are supported by the Ministry of Industrialization, Mines and Energy.
Great. Thank you for that background and for sharing a little bit more within your introduction. So to start off our panel questions, I thought it might be helpful to start a little bit more generally. We heard from both of these two presentations about the really incredible work that is being done in this space, and is particularly around the opportunities for energy savings. But I'm curious, Nita, about your thoughts that beyond energy savings, what are the additional benefits of energy efficiency standards and labeling that people might not realize or that we might not have covered within our two presentations? And I'm just going to flag that you're muted, so you might want to unmute.
Yes, I can go first on that one.
Thank you. Yeah.
In the earlier program that I mentioned that we implemented between 2019 and 2024, the energy efficiency, lighting and appliances, we were looking at developing minimum energy performance standards for products and appliances that member states prioritize. And we were doing this in a harmonized way. So like for SADC, we have 16 member states, and the EAC, we have about 5 member states. It's worth noting that some members of SADC are also members of EAC, like Tanzania and DRC. But we followed the regional approach in developing these MEPS, and the benefits beyond the energy savings include the following. We have it promotes regional integrations, both from the political perspective and economic perspective. It reduces the cost of compliance. As you know, if you implement MEPS and you are enforcing, you need to go out in the market, check what products are being sold, whether they are complying to the standards you have set. So, and also one other critical aspect is testing. So there may be member states that do not have test facilities. So with regional collaboration, then the national standards bodies can depend on member states that have test facilities to accept if there are similar products are being sold on the market, the test results that have come from a country that have facilities for testing. It also unlocks economies of scale for industry, especially manufacturers. You don't target your national market, you target your regional markets. I spoke about SADC having 16 countries. So if there's a manufacturing plant based in South Africa, they do not only target the South African market, they target markets within the 16 member states that I've spoken about, 4 island states and 12 mainland states. And then it ring-fences the region from entry of inefficient products that have been rejected elsewhere, because if countries are maybe implementing these on their own, there may be cases where some inefficient products will filter through their borders from another country. But if the whole region adopts similar standards which are harmonized and are being implemented, then you ring-fence the whole region from entry of these inefficient products that are been rejected elsewhere in the market. I'll give a chance, I think, to my colleagues also to speak about it.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Liz. Yeah, so Reedley talked more about the regional cooperation benefits. So I will talk, sort of direct the answer more towards how labeling and energy efficiency helps on an individual or national level beyond energy savings. So we talked about, of course, how it gives us more opportunity for energy access. But if you look at an individual or a household is now able to have more disposable income. because of using energy efficient appliances and using energy efficiency techniques in their homes, they can reduce the amount of energy bills that they have, which leaves more disposable income for them that can be used for savings, that can be used to invest in other things. It's similarly the case for industry as well and for companies as well, because they can use the cost savings they have for energy towards other investments. From a national perspective, these energy savings end up being important part of energy security, right? So it reduces your your dependence on imports for meeting your energy needs. At the same time, of course, you have environmental benefits. You have less local pollution, right? You have less environmental and health impacts from such pollution. So these are just some of the additional benefits of beyond energy savings. I'll let anybody else step in.
Yeah, great. Thank you to both of you. Patrick, did you have anything?
Thanks, Liz. I think just briefly, I think Ridley and Nita add a lot of the points. But just to add on the savings opportunity side presented on that, how consumers can really have financial savings. And that's something that we, when we work with countries and different stakeholder groups, that's something that really helps in advancing our work in a quicker manner. Through that assessment, it shows that savings opportunity of 130 billion across those 150 countries on an annual basis. So for consumers, that's a large amount for them to save through energy efficient products. Then also just on other environmental product opportunities. We discussed on climate, but beyond that, there's opportunity to work on both energy efficiency and other environmental problems at the same time, such as through CFL lighting that they contain mercury. So transition into LED lighting allows for an opportunity to both move to energy efficiency and products that don't contain mercury in them. And then in distribution transformers, one issue we've had in Africa is many of those transformers contain PCBs, which have large health implications. So when replacing those, there's opportunity for, of course, transformers without PCBs in them, and then also that are energy efficient. So I think it's important just to look at what other environmental and health and consumer opportunities you're able to work on at the same time. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And that conversation actually leads me to my next question. In talking about kind of the broader current global agenda, the UN Secretary's goal of doubling energy efficiency, I'm wondering how energy rating labels can be better integrated into those broader national energy efficiency strategies or the nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. I'm not sure if there's anyone specific that might want to answer that, but I'm also curious to also touch on what kind of challenges might these countries face that are seeking to integrate these energy efficiency strategies and schemes into their national contributions and strategies, and what challenges might they encounter.
I can come in again if that's okay. Since we are at UNEP and within the UN, working, of course, closely with governments on nationally determined contributions to the Paris Agreement. So it's really important that governments incorporates energy efficiency within those. They have in the past NDCs, but now is the time to really be more specific in those. So perhaps referencing more timelines that the country expects to update their MEPS and labels by year X, and what product groups, whether that's going to be on cooling or lighting, specifying that in order to justify how they expect to their mitigation potential within the NDCs. So there is that. Also within the cooling pledge, together with an initiative called Cool Coalition, we're working, which is another UDEP initiative on broader cooling opportunities. We're working together on a MEPS working group to work with countries on their commitments to that global pledge. So that's for governments that are listening. That's an opportunity to discuss how you can make commitments to this global cooling pledge, and also opportunities to update and incorporate efficiency and cooling commitments within your NDCs. Happy to connect offline on that as well. Thanks.
Yes, additionally, I think NIDA's presentation pictorially highlighted how the implementation of MEPS and levels push and pull the sales of efficient appliances on the market. So under the original ELA program, Energy Efficient Lighting and Appliances project that we implemented together with UNIDO in Yakri and Sakri, we went further also to look at development of regional energy efficiency labels, one for SADC and one for ESC. For the case of SADC, we noticed that most of the goods that are being sold on the market, especially the white goods, the television sets, the refrigerators, washing machines, both for the dishes as well as for the clothes, refrigerators as well as air conditioners, mostly do bear the South African energy efficiency label. South Africa has been implementing, I think, these for about 12 products. So we approached the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy if we could use their energy efficiency label as the basis for development of a regional label for SADC, which DMRE was agreeable to. And we engaged a consultant, and one of the objectives was to assess within the SADC member states what is existing in terms of labels for the appliances, especially for the MEPS that we're developing under ELA, and as well as to find out if they have developed any labels or in the process of developing labels. So that information was collected, and the South African label was also presented to the member states for their comments. And at the end of it all member states were agreeable to the outcome of what the work for the consultant did. We presented this at the just ended in 2024, the SADC Industrialization Week that was held in Zimbabwe. And the South African label will be subjected to further comments, because currently SANEDI is still reviewing the label, so that most of the text that is in the existing label will be removed and will be replaced by icons which can be interpreted even by people who are not able to read. So once that work is finalized by SANEDI, then we'll pick it up under this new regional program under the ELA, supported by Swedish government again, to conclude now the regional label for the SADC member states.
Liz, I'll also add one more thing here, maybe something a little bit more on the softer side. So I've been working on energy efficiency in Pakistan since about 2012. And what I've seen here, and later on also what I've seen globally, is that many people on the energy side, they don't understand energy efficiency. They understand energy supply. They've been working with energy supply, but most policymakers don't understand that there's potential of energy savings by using energy efficiency. So I think that the reason this paper is very important is to show policymakers how important energy rating label schemes are in the overall energy tools that they use, and for them to actually meet the goal of doubling energy efficiency every year. Like we need to increase energy efficiency by 4% globally every year till 2050 to meet the net zero and net zero targets, right? So to do that, they cannot achieve that without MEPS and energy label. labeling schemes. So it is very important to show policymakers what energy efficiency is, how it leads to energy savings, and how the biggest chunk of that is going to be by using energy minimum energy performance standards and energy labels.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I think it's what you just mentioned of making sure governments know the benefits is really, really critical. And then continuing to think about this topic of standards and how governments can advance this work. Dan, I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the work that IEC is doing on standards and specifically highlight the motor standards and energy efficiency classifications that IEC has developed, which are used globally by the private sector to choose high efficiency motors and by governments to develop their MEPS.
Yes, certainly. Thank you for that. Well, at the IEC and the standards development side, currently I'll touch on the motors first. There's a series of standards designed on motor energy efficiency. It's the IEC 60034 series of standards. It's a series of standards because it touches on different types of test methodology. It touches on different types of motors, whether it's being fed from a drive or fed directly from AC. And then there's one particular part in that series of the standards, the -30-1 version of the standard, which sets forth the energy classification or energy efficiency of a particular motor as it was tested to the other parts of that particular standard, which sets up a uniform test methodology. So you have repeatable and reproducible tests. This information, yes, it's labeled on it's one of the rare standards we have where it does have a labeling, not requirement, but it sets forth labeling criteria. And it's one of the rare ones that we do have in the IEC catalog for energy efficiency that has that. And there's a very particular reason for that. These standards were developed early on before there was a lot of recognition of the benefits of energy efficiency. And with the evolution of more knowledge and more cognizance of energy efficiency on regional and national levels, they developed their own energy efficiency labeling schemes. We saw in Nydia's presentation, there's all types of labels out there, but there's something standing behind all of those labels. You have to test it, and you have to test it uniformly, and you want repeatability on those particular tests. So you need test methodologies. So that's the other piece that IEC is really focusing on with their standards development and the standards that are already published. And nations and regions can adopt these test methodologies for them to use in their labeling requirements. I'll use the Energy Star, for instance, for an example, because it's something I'm a bit familiar with. Excuse me. They reference many IEC standards in their the DOE Energy Star program. There's the standard for standby power is referenced quite a bit. So it's the backbone, if you will, or the foundation for many regulations, many different labeling requirements. So that's the role, the key role that the IEC is playing in all this. And it also provides so countries and regions don't have to develop their own standards. They can use these backbone standards and then just apply their own MEPS to that after, but they already have the basic foundation and harmonized testing methodology.
Yeah, thank you very much for that answer. And of course, a follow-up to that, a question from our entire panel group or another panelist is if IEC is considering developing standards and classifications like it did for motors for other equipment classes and technologies.
I touched on that a little bit because I think the IEC found its place that we're better to not put the labeling requirements into the standards, because So many nations have already instituted their own policies, which have labeling. We saw the multitude of labeling. So to kind of change that around would take a lot of time, and it probably would not be successful. The smart thing to do is to write standards for these policies and regulations to feed into them and to enable people to have a harmonized standard that they can depend on, how to, uniformly test the dishwasher, how to uniformly test the refrigerator, uniformly test, televisions, power supplies, transformers, the list goes on and on. And those can be used as the backbone for national and regional labeling requirements, which are already there, and there's already policies in place for. I guess it just goes back to knowing your place in the overall scheme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Thinking about the market, and some of the questions that we're getting in the Q&A box are about kind of consumer decisions and how people can make the best decisions and afford to make the best decisions. I'm curious, and this is an open question to whichever panelist might want to take this, to complement these well-designed energy rating labels and minimum energy performance standards, what kind of financial and market mechanisms, incentives, financing models may have already proven successful and or could be very successful in accelerating the adoption of these appliances, maybe some of the work that U4E is doing, and particularly in these emerging markets, as we've been talking about. Maybe Sai, I don't know if that might be.
Yeah, maybe I can go first on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Apart from the ELA program that we implemented with UNIDO, there was also support that was given to SACRI, SADC Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, for 8 SADC member states, supported by CTCN, in a program called Leapfrogging to Energy Efficiency Refrigerators and Distribution Transformers. This was done in 8 SADC countries, including Namibia itself, where we are. And there was a survey that was done in terms of these appliances, the distribution transformers and refrigerators in the member states, what is existing, what potential market is there in future between now and 2040 for the procurement of distribution transformers, especially for the utilities, for replacement. And we also ended up developing MEPS for distribution transformers under this program. And also there was some financial mechanisms that were proposed for the acquisition of these appliances, especially for the domestics. There is on-bill financing if you are connected to an electric utility. There was a scheme where you could get these appliances on hire and be paying, I think as you pay part of your electricity bill, you also pay a component of acquiring this energy efficiency appliance. The other one is on-wage financing, where I think wholesalers and retailers do make an agreement with employers where they can supply these to those that have expressed interest to acquire these items, and then this is deducted from their salary every month until they liquidate it at the end of the period they've agreed to pay it out. So I think financial mechanisms in what they were calling national roadmaps were highlighted in these 8 member states in terms of higher acquisition of these energy efficiency appliances.
Thanks, Rodley. And yeah, I'm just jumping in directly. So also in this context, I would like to cite one of the success story of leveraging these financial mechanisms in Ghana, which is titled Eco-Fridges Go. So as Rodley just mentioned, so the on-wage financing allows consumers to pay through payroll deductions, whereas on-bill financing allows them to be part of the utility bill plan. So we had successfully collaborated with government stakeholders and also the financial institutions, local financial institutions like the Cal Bank and EcoBank. And the most important actors in this were the vendors. So we were able to identify up to 5 leading manufacturers in the country. And we also had a very dedicated parameters in order to be eligible for this program. So we covered a holistic view of parameters like energy efficiency, the refrigerant GWP, the availability, as well as the need for warranty, and also after sales support. Usually, if there are any technical malfunctions, it is important that the manufacturer takes the responsibility. And so this was a very comprehensive program, which was a great success, and we were able to through this program, we were able to achieve almost in Ghana's, we were able to mobilize finance up to 7.1 million. And also we were able to sell about close to 900 new room air conditioners to persons who were buying for the first, who were not familiar with the energy efficient benefits of new air conditioner. So yeah, I think this is one classic example of how financial mechanisms can leverage economies of scale. But also, I think it's important to draw attention that MEPS and labels are just the first step of the journey towards sustainability, because it's important to sustain this MEPS and labels, and MVE, that is monitoring, verification, and enforcement, is the key aspect to ensure the integrity of MEPS and labels. And in that context, I guess product registration system is of vital importance. So product registration system is basically a database of all the products in the country, and using and having that transparent data would also help us identify products which are of high energy efficient to qualify for these financial mechanisms once implemented. Yeah, thanks. I'll stop here, but happy to connect offline as well if there are any further queries. Thanks.
Liz, I would add a little bit more to this. So what the research that the International Energy Agency and actually United for Efficiency also found was that with the push for energy efficiency through these energy label and minimum energy performance schemes, the price of appliances actually went down, not up. So with increasing efficiency, we also saw a decrease in price of appliances. And what they have shown in the market is that there is a, yes, in certain appliance types, you may see that certain companies introduce a price bump for energy efficient appliances. But for many appliance type, there is almost no difference in the price of an energy efficient appliance and a not so efficient appliance. So the biggest thing that governments can really do is that these labels are introduced, and that there's an awareness campaign to show people how to understand these labels. Because if they're able to understand these labels, and if they're able to understand that the savings that they're going to get from it, that pushes them to either pay for that extra bump, or if it is an appliance that is the same type, then to understand that this appliance A is better than appliance B because it will result in less energy bills for me, even though they cost the same.
Thank you. That's very interesting. Thank you to all of the panelists and the audience members for all of your questions and helping this be a really robust discussion. We are at the end of our session, and it's clear there's so much more we could continue to discuss about this really important topic. So I put in the chat the publication that Nita presented that was co-developed with the CEET and U4E, and I do encourage audience members to review that publication. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this topic, it's really helpful and very robust, and also includes some of the topics that Dan discussed that IEC is doing. So I encourage you to review that, and I thank you all for your contributions to this conversation, and I look forward to continuing this conversation and on this important topic. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Liz.
you.
Thank
Bye now.
everyone. Bye.